Welcome back to Sith Crypto. We're going to go over some more Celsius updates today. So, newest information regarding their loan on MakerDAO has been completely paid off, and they have freed up around $500 million worth of Bitcoin that was locked for their $225 million loan. So that is free now. We're not entirely sure what they are going to be doing with it, but they took that wrapped Bitcoin, sent it to FTX, and the information that I've seen says that they have just swapped it for Bitcoin, haven't sold it yet. So originally you'd think that this is going to be positive news, but considering that we haven't seen any additional repayments or talks of liquidity, I can't say that this is entirely positive, but it's fairly neutral. I would definitely say it's not negative news. So that's a positive. Let me go ahead and show you what that the loan was in fact paid off. So you can see that it's no longer here and that they withdrew their Bitcoin on July 7th. Now, the reason I waited to make a video is because I was waiting for some information to come out, and that's why I'm saying that it's not super positive because we haven't had any new information come out. The only thing that has been happening really is drama that's taking place between the sell short squeeze movement and the depositors first movement. And I wanted to kind of comment on this because I actually think it's completely ridiculous what's going on. The sell short squeeze is convinced that users are going to be not made whole, and that the way to save Celsius is to well, actually, no, never mind. So the problem with the sell short squeeze is that they have turned into this tribe where they chastise anybody who doesn't want to participate in the sell short squeeze. And that's what I find problematic, that there's so many ways to approach this Celsius situation. And they've started attacking Simon Dixon because he is saying at this current moment that we're not getting enough transparency, and that he has presented to the board several plans that they have not accepted. There's a lot of different ways to help Celsius, and I think the sell short squeeze is attacking the shorters, which they have, that's what they've been saying. But there's another part of the sell short squeeze that believes that the only way to save Celsius is through the short squeeze, and that other forms of helping Celsius, like through Simon Dixon, are harming Celsius, which just isn't accurate. It's really hard to get into all the details specifically, but it's some really petty drama. And I just don't understand how adults don't understand that, these are two separate things that are going on. The sell short squeeze is taking place by, pulling sell-off exchanges, and what Simon Dixon is doing as a shareholder of Celsius and as a major depositor presenting plans to save Celsius. These are two completely separate movements that are both working, separately and can both help Celsius where there's no conflict from what I'm seeing. Anyway, I did want to present some more stuff around that. I will go more into detail about Simon Dixon and some of his plans, but I did want to quickly backtrack and just show this clip of Alex Mashinsky saying that Celsius isn't participating in DeFi. And this interview, which was done on June 1st, 12 days before they paused withdrawals, was actually one of the reasons that gave me confidence to stay in Celsius, because of everything that Alex was saying in this interview and reassuring that, Celsius was safe and that they have all of these things on the roadmap to make it even better, and that they're not participating in anything risky, which is now coming to light to not potentially be true what he's saying in this interview here, which is what originally gave me the reassurance to stay in Celsius.
That either Celsius or Celsius were exposed to at all? No other exposure that I know. Again, we're obviously there are other participants who market participants who had big investments in Luna and USD, and so we basically either reduced or eliminated any exposure to those parties. But Celsius itself is not, that's not our business. We don't invest in this or that coin or things like that, right? So Celsius continues to do what it did for the last 5 years. Again, most of our business, I would say 90% of our business, has nothing to do with DeFi, right? It's not that's not like if you do mining, or if you do staking, or if you do loans, right? You issue loans against Bitcoin or things like that.
So
just to repeat, Alex just said that 90% of the business is not DeFi. However, we can literally see on-chain now, and what I've been going over in my previous videos, that they have had a lot of DeFi loans. Personally, I don't find it very problematic that they had DeFi loans because they're over collateralized, and I don't find that to be risky. In my opinion, it's essentially just them managing those DeFi loans on behalf of the customers and giving customers an easier experience while providing custody, which to a certain degree seems reasonable. It's not risky behavior like giving 3AC uncollateralized loans, which so far we haven't seen that they did, like Voyager and several other institutions have been involved in. So, that's risky in my opinion. Putting money into DeFi like Aave isn't necessarily entirely risky in the same way, especially because it's over collateralized. But Alex is saying that 90% isn't in DeFi, which is completely clearly not true. And then another piece of information around that is that there's been talks of a $2 billion hole. It's all hearsay. There really isn't any official information around how big of a hole that they have in their balance sheet, but it looks like there's information coming out that a large portion of their balance sheet was their Cell token. So that's how they were bolstering such high numbers previously, was because a lot of their balance sheet was potentially made up of Cell token, which is a token that they launched themselves, which is problematic that they're presenting that monetary figure as why we should be confident in their balance sheet and being able to honor withdrawals in the business. So a little bit more shady information coming out. And then one side piece of news I wanted to touch on was that they have restructured a lot of their board with a lot of traditional finance people, and there's a family office investment person on here as well. So, there's clearly a lot of infighting. And Alex doesn't want to do Chapter 11. A lot of the people that were previously on the board and some of the people now want to do Chapter 11. There's clearly something that Alex doesn't want to have come out, and there's a lot of interesting negative information coming out, and I didn't necessarily fall into any of the FUD that was previously coming out regarding Celsius. However, I think with the lack of transparency that we're getting, and the fact that Voyager's already filed for Chapter 11, Blockfi has already been bailed out, and Celsius is still silent, paying off loans, and there's all this infighting, which is completely unnecessary. And the most, damning, I think, information that I have to share today is this interview, once again with InvestAnswers. Now Simon is talking to InvestAnswers, whereas, the first one I showed you was Alex. But I think this is really interesting what Simon is going to say here, so I'm just going to go ahead and play that. Just give me one moment. Right.
We've invested in the best team that money could buy, and pulled together 11 years of contacts and put together the capital to write, if the transparency is given under Chapter 11, up to $6 billion in debt and equity, if that is needed, and a suitable structure that we can plausibly give to investors on a recovery plan can be put in place. I've also reached out to as many other players from all the relationships that I've built that could also do that and compete with that, so that depositors can get the best result. I still believe that there is a plan. And here's one thing, and this is the commitment that I will make, until the final hour, we will do what we can, firstly, for my deposit, and to retain some of my share.
Anyway, Simon just said there that he has $6 billion ready to inject into Celsius if they file for Chapter 11 or accept one of his proposals that he has presented that they have rejected. So
if it's true that they have a $2 billion hole, and Simon has $6 billion of capital ready to inject, then it really doesn't make any sense why Celsius isn't accepting Simon's proposal. It's clearly the best option that depositors and Celsius have to come out of this situation. There's been nobody else communicating who has such a strong recovery plan. And, you can look into Simon yourself. Obviously, he's come up a lot right now with the whole Celsius situation, but he's one of the original Bitcoin investors. I mentioned him on one of the previous previous videos. But $6 billion could easily fill a $2 billion hole. And those people that Simon has pulled together want to see Celsius succeed. What is Celsius hiding that they are not wanting to accept this plan? I mean, I'll link this video, and if you watch it, there is no way that Simon is trying to screw over the depositors or the people involved. He clearly is just very invested in saving the livelihood of, the savings that people have lost. Anyway, overall, I think Simon is the best shot that we have. I think that all of the fighting is ridiculous. I think that the sell short squeeze can happen and Simon's proposals can happen. And the sell short squeeze doesn't need to be attacking Simon. It's completely unnecessary and counterproductive. And everybody can do their part to help with the Celsius situation. That's my opinion. I think that we just are going to keep waiting. And, unfortunately, we don't have any definitive information. This is just what I'm seeing and letting you know as I see it. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.